Coleman and I loaded up and headed out to northeastern Oklahoma to interview an eyewitness that wished to remain anonymous. He also wished his location to remain anonymous. As always, we do everything we can to respect the eyewitness's wishes. So, this was your uncle's encounter.
Yeah.
What year was that?
I didn't ask him. He was a teenager. He was born in 60.
1960? So he's older than me.
Yeah.
And he was a teenager, so that might have been in 70
Yeah,
to
mid-70s.
78?
Yeah, mid-70s.
Mid-70s. So what happened down here?
Coon hunting with his friend and the coon dog.
Right.
They were back in here, river bottoms, and dog would be out ahead,
Right.
alerting them. All of a sudden, they're walking and the dog comes back. He's not going out. He's standing right by him.
Hugging him.
Trying to figure out, what's
That's
wrong
not
with the dog.
normal behavior.
Right. And so dog's like tuck tail, staying right by him. About that time, they start hearing something paralleling them, and kept trying to look. It was carbide lights at the time, so they would flash, and it was tall. It was spring or summer, so you had the overgrowth, underbrush, and it would stay just beyond their line. They could never hear it. And he would talk like they would stop, and it would stop. Start, stop. The dog wouldn't do anything. And they were back in the river bottoms pretty far, and they had a long ways to go till they got kind of out of this situation. And so the field over here used to be open.
Right.
And once they hit the field, they were worried about it. Whatever it was, they expected to come on into the field open, and they didn't. They stayed there, and they could never get eyes. And they had I think he said it was over a mile back in there, walk back in here.
Yeah, it took us a while to get in here, didn't it?
Yeah, and they were further, along the river.
They were further down.
Yeah, and they weren't really counting this the way we came. It was along the river.
Wow.
So it was more back that way.
Cool.
Or this way.
So they made it back to their vehicle.
Yeah, they
Was
probably
the
just
dog
walked to the
going
house.
crazy, or was the dog
No.
being chill?
The way I understood it, it was just really timid, tail tucked, staying right by him.
That's interesting.
Putting them in between.
The dog knew what they were up against. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
knew
be surprised if
something
that was
was
the first time the dog had run
Yeah.
into that. Yeah.
Yeah, he said it wasn't like a older dog,
Oh, really?
but
Huh. And so there was two of them, and then just one dog.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, just the one.
And they were probably just armed with 22s, which was
Yeah,
standard issue coon hunting
Yep.
material.
yeah, from the carbide lights.
Carbide light. Yeah, that's been a while.
But same thing, they'd get the reflection, with trying to shine. And it was just beyond where they could ever see, and it was all grown up.
Huh.
And it, he didn't say exactly how far, but it was close. They just could never get eyes on it.
Any idea how long this thing followed them through the woods?
He said they were way back in there.
So it's at least 30 minutes, probably.
It was a while through the thick woods, yeah.
That'd be a nerve-wracking as hell. That's a very common story, really.
Right.
I mean, that same scenario gets, pops up over and over and over again, and it's classic Sasquatch behavior. So, and obviously they had a pretty smart dog. So,
Yeah.
and
Scared
guys
dog
like
anyways.
that, they know their dogs, and they probably immediately knew that something was up, because those coon dogs are alpha.
Right.
They whoop ass.
Yeah. I mean, he said it wasn't his best coon dog he ever had, but it was still a coon dog that hunted, and, they're not house dogs.
Oh no, they're not. I've seen them in action myself. So all hell breaks loose when they're on there.
Yeah.
So,
But it was, just down the river, and I assumed that way. I need to get clarification.
right.
That makes more sense. That's the way in my mind I take it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to tell
Yeah.
us.
You're welcome.
This is the habitat right here.
They've got there's a long ways you can go without running into anybody, and it's a lot of core land.
Yeah. Sweet. While we were out walking around, we stumbled across this interesting footprint. We went ahead and hit it with the Scaniverse app on my phone, and we got some interesting measurements there off of it. Chime in the comments and let me know what you think. Think it might be legitimate juvenile? I don't know. So, a couple of years ago, you had an incident happen to you personally, and it wasn't far from here, was it?
No, probably half a mile. That was 10 years ago or so.
This was at your folks' house?
Yeah.
And what year was that?
2010-ish.
2010. Any idea what month or anything?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I'd blocked it out for a long time.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So, you were in your bedroom at night.
Yeah.
Why don't you start
I was in my
there?
bedroom. It was late. Heavy moon. I have a big window in my room. Double tall, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
I start to wake up. I'm not sure why, really. I start to ease out and step down. And right before I touch the floor, I just had just something intuition. So I start to get out of my bed to put my foot down to go to the bathroom or something. And I don't know, while I was up, it was just strange. I didn't really have to go to the bathroom, but I don't know, I was just uncomfortable, started to get out. I remember my foot about touching the carpet. I thought better of it. I had an eerie feeling. And I still remember my foot starting to put pressure on the carpet because it would squeak right there. So I eased back up from there and scoot down on the bed so I could look out the window and kind of look at and trying to figure out, what's going on. Didn't hear anything, and then I see at the end of the driveway something come across the road, right in between our double brick pillars for the driveway, and it walks. Very large. It's on all fours. Walks up to my truck. Truck's in the driveway. It starts. The it's facing the house, so the hood's closer to the window, and it's probably 40 foot away, 30 foot away, and comes up to the back and then to the side, closer to me, working its way. And it's got a head low, and its back is over the bed of my truck. I had a single cab Dodge. Its back's over there, over the rail by a fair amount. It covered the whole.
You think it was about this high or something?
Yeah, I'd have to measure it. I know exactly, but I say
it was on all fours.
That's because it was on all fours, and its back completely cleared the whole bed rail. So if you look at it like that, somewhere in the driver window where would be its back, and so it had its head low the whole time, so I couldn't tell on all fours where its head was. And I still had no idea what was going on. I had zero idea. I had no references. I didn't know anything about anything like this. Zero. So I'm real confused. Just trying to figure out what's going on. It's got its head real low, sniffing like a dog. That's all I could think of. Just like a dog, except a giant dog. sniffing around, and it works its way up to the front of the truck. And all I could see was the outline, because it was dark, but there was good moonlight, and the moon was behind it. So all I could see was an outline, very clear outline, and it was really dark. But I really couldn't see anything because his head was down and the truck was blocking it. Works its way up to the front of the truck, doing that. Gets to the front and raises his head and just goes into a full stand-up. And then from there, it stood up, and I could see that it had really tall ears, really pointy, tall ears, and just blacker than black. It's hard to describe. Just super black. I mean, I know it was nighttime, but still very black.
Shouldn't have been that black.
Right. And it's at the front of my truck, stands up. I remember thinking at that point it could come up to the house where I was in my second story window, and it could have looked at me through that window in the second story. And again, I've not measured that, but very tall. And I wasn't sure which way it was really facing at this time because all I could see was the outline, so it was hard to tell orientation. So it stood up and just kind of like took notice around it, just kind of like stood up, and then it just stayed there for a second. Like I said, I wasn't really sure which way it was facing. And then it started like, it just looked around. It just kind of scanned back and forth. And then moved around the side of the truck, and it just strutted straight back out the way it came.
Upright?
Upright, yeah. Upright. And it walked effortless. And it walked, it's hard to describe, but with so much confidence. Like, very hard to describe, like how something can walk with that much confidence, even in the dark. I could see its snout, very long snout. Once it started walking, changed its orientation, so it backlit the other area.
Now that it's upright, yeah.
And I mean, it just so casual, but with like so much confidence. That's the only thing I can say.
How long do you think the whole thing took? 30 seconds? A minute and a half?
Probably between 30 seconds and a minute.
So he was moving pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, he just came straight up to the truck, sniffed it. Like he walked straight up.
Did you hear him sniff it, or did you just see him?
No, I just saw it.
You can kind of tell that's what he was doing.
To me, that's what he was doing. Like, it was just like a dog. Like,
typical.
I can't say 100% fact he was down there sniffing my tire. But to me, that's what he was doing.
Right.
Because it was, I mean, just like a dog. It was weird.
Super common for a
it's just like a dog. They come down and it had its head low, and it had its head low the whole time. You know, I don't know where its head would have been on the truck if he would have raised up, because he had it low the whole time. And he sniffed around my door too. He sniffed around my door. And then he moved on up, and then he stood up. And when he stood up, that's whenever I noticed the ears.
Okay, so up until that point, you were kind of skeptic as to whether or not it was canine.
Yeah,
but
at that point, I was damn sure skeptic at that point.
Yeah, at that point you knew.
Because to me, I had no references.
Was there any sounds at all?
No, nothing I recall.
Did he?
It was just silent.
That's pretty interesting. Did you see any hands or anything?
Man, I didn't. I wish I would have paid more attention. It was so much information because all of it was so new.
Right. Well, you were young.
And I was just, it was just overload information.
Did you notice any tail or anything?
I didn't notice a tail either. But I'm not saying I couldn't have had it. Either way, I'm not real sure. If I was betting money, I don't even know which way I'd go. Whether it did or it didn't.
Well, a lot of times when people see stuff like this, they tend to focus on like one part of the body.
Yeah, I was focusing on the head.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like. Because the ears are so tall.
Yeah.
And its snout. And the snout was long. It was not like snub nose.
How long do you think the ears were?
Tough to tell because it looked big on a big animal.
Yeah.
So, I don't.
So they were.
Like it looked like almost like the ratio of like rabbits almost.
Yeah.
Like just ridiculous tall ears.
Ridiculous.
But it were very like skinnier and tall.
They're pointy.
Kind of like a Doberman, but Dobermans can kind of be like wider.
Yeah.
But they're real pointy. They're like
Yeah.
Like very plain.
The one
But
I
they were
saw was
tall.
that
Like
way,
they were just big ears, and it was creepy.
Was it a very like human when it walked? Could you tell like?
Oh yeah, it was not struggling. That was the like, because if it was like walking like a bear, you know, like bears do that little, like definitely wasn't that.
Yeah.
1000% sure about that, because they're not comfortable. Like this thing, like its whole arms move just like that. I mean, somebody like
fluid.
think like Conor McGregor, as funny as this is, that little walk-in
the
entrance
belly
with
strut,
with all the confidence.
Right,
I mean, he wasn't doing that, but he was just like, just his arms were moving. He was using his arms to walk. He was comfortable as can be, walking on two legs.
If you had to guess, and I understand you haven't measured the window or anything, but if you had to guess in the upright position, do you think he was? How tall would you guess?
So how tall is each floor in the house?
Well, your garage door is going to be at least 7 feet tall, and maybe 8, depending on the house, and then you're going to have a couple of feet between the top of the garage door and the ceiling. So, you know, you're looking at, you know,
I mean, I don't see how he's possibly under 10 foot, but
okay, I can live with that.
You know, if I was going over under, I go over.
Right.
I'm not going to say about that because I'm not sure. I just know. I remember thinking at the time, I hope he doesn't walk this way, because I won't be able to hide from even the guttering on the house.
Right.
Like he'd be able to look at me through the window with ease.
Right. Maybe one of these days you can go out there and run a tape and see, but I believe you. So, have you heard of anything else happening in this area that involves dogmen or?
I've just seen online a couple of reports right in this area that we're at right now. I believe there's 2, both dogmen, canine.
Right. Well, don't go into too much detail, but
right.
You know,
so I know that I was paralleled one night with my friend, my best friend growing up.
How far away was that from here?
That was probably half a mile.
Wow.
Maybe a mile.
Was the woods like this?
Yeah.
This was after your first encounter?
I'm not sure. I never thought. Really, we just both blocked it out because we were always in the woods. And I think we would have dwelled on it too much and gave it too much thought. And both of us, I don't think at the time, would have even given that any credit. So it was just weird. So we just ruled it. We just didn't really even think about it or talk about it. And until recently, we both brought it up and we were both laughing that we'd never even talked about it.
That's actually a very, very common way for people to react to stuff like that.
Yeah.
How far did it follow you through the woods? A couple hundred yards?
No. I'd have to measure that, but just going off, just trying to measure it in my head. I mean, that was over a half mile.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was a while.
That's
it was enough that we dealt with it for a while, threatened it because we had guns. You know, said if it was anybody, like my brother or uncle.
You wish it was your brother.
Yeah, we were saying, like, cut it out. You know, we got guns and look, we're going to shoot. So.
Yeah, at that point, usually the joke's over.
Right. And then, it was perfectly timed because we started walking, and I finally decided to check it. So I had my hand on my friend, and we both stopped at the same time. And it stopped at the same time. And we started walking, it would walk. It was like mimicking ours, but it was big and heavy, and it was
very common
bipedal.
Behavior. Yeah. And the same thing happened to your uncle, right?
Yep. Same thing. Just years earlier.
Yeah, crazy.
And then there's heard of a few similar further down around from here. So
Okay.
It would be kind of distant neighbors.
Right. Well, the habitat is definitely here, and we're in close proximity to a river, so you know it's definitely a corridor. If they're not living here full time, they're definitely passing through the area from time to time, and I would be willing to bet you that that they probably
they're probably, you know, just looking around the houses, searching for food, or maybe who knows? Maybe some strange dog peed on your tires and the wind was in the right direction and he caught wind of it. And you know, because we know it's a big curiosity for regular dogs.
Right.
So maybe he was just.
I definitely seemed curious. Like, to me, I knew exactly what he was doing. To me.
Yeah, but you
Can I
couldn't
prove it? No.
You could,
I
yeah.
can't prove nothing. You know, like,
Yeah, but you've seen the same behavior
right.
so many times.
The exact same behavior. Everybody knows what a dog does to
Right.
tires, and if they smell another dog, how they act.
Yeah. You know, I gotta ask. Do you think he peed on your tire?
I never had thought about it until we spoke initially, and whenever you said that, like I said, he did all the same type of deal, like the pausing and the, you know, they smell and they scoot up, and they, like, I think it's a possibility for sure.
That would be crazy.
It's a possibility for sure, but again, it was kind of blocking it. But the way that he moved, after I got to thinking about that, it was like a dog, you know, comes up. It was just the mannerisms and the way it moved. And it could have definitely done that, but I'm not sure.
Have you ever, before this happened, had you ever heard of a dog man?
No. I didn't even think about that again, except for that next morning.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I thought about it. I completely blocked it out until recently. That's been like, yeah, like, so that's actually been 13 years ago.
Well, you know, it's just, that was about the time that dogman stuff started becoming mainstream, I guess you'd say. I mean, prior to that, there was like zero information out there for it. So, you know, the chances of you hearing about it randomly, pretty slim.
Yeah.
So, well, I appreciate you taking time to tell us of this and sharing your story. I mean, hopefully it'll help other people want to come forward and share what they know, because there's a lot of people out there that have had encounters with these things and they just don't feel confident to talk about it. So
it was disturbing enough to completely block out, and then whenever I did remember, I was doing something, I had grease on my hands, and my phone randomly played something on YouTube, and I'd never listened to anything Bigfoot, and it was whatever it was reminded me of that, and just like instantly it was like a memory was just like programmed in me, like instantly.
How long ago was that?
Probably 9 months ago, 10 months, less than a year.
Oh my.
And it was just instantly, and I remembered everything. I mean, I know exactly where the truck was parked, where my brother's truck was parked, where it walked. It's like a recording in my brain.
Right.
It is just seared.
I know how that feels.